Hello and good morning. I'm so glad to be here with you today. I know it is on Wednesday instead of Monday, and I want to apologize for that. I was out of town, and with the time change, and if you can tell in my voice, I lost my voice. All good things, but I didn't want to not have this call because this is important. This is very, very important, and it's very important to me, and I enjoy it, and I hope you enjoy it as well. But let's get started. Lord, thank you so much for today, for this week, for all the blessings that you're going to pour out onto us. Thank you for the lessons that you've given us. Thank you for the wisdom. Thank you for the grace. Thank you for just being a sovereign God. Thank you for showing us so many things that help us on this journey here on earth until we meet you again. Lord, we love you so much, and allow these words on this page just be edifying to you and give us so many different lessons and little tiny nuggets of truth. In Jesus' name. I'm so grateful to be here with you, and I'm so excited for today. I know last week we were in Job, and we haven't finished Job, so my plan is to record Job for you and post it so that you have it, because it is a very important chapter inside the Bible. But we're going to keep things moving, and today we are going to be inside of Exodus, and we are going to be going through 1 to 18 today. And this is, excuse me, this is, I was reading ahead, and we're going to be talking about Moses. And Moses is a pretty significant person in our history and inside of the Bible. And it talks about what was going on in the world at the time. And Israel had been with Egypt for over 400 years, but that began the provision that was under Joseph when we were talking in Genesis, right? And the thing is that God truly praises Moses. He delivers Israel from the Red Sea. He defends the enemies. He provides for their needs and begins shaping them into this nation. And I think something that's super important that shows up in this is that freedom is not the end of the journey for them, but freedom is the beginning of the formation for them. So let's dive right into it. The Israelis in Egypt. These are the names of the sons of Israel, that is Jacob, who moved to Egypt with their father, each with his family: Reuben, Simon, Levi, Judah, Issachar, Zebulun, Benjamin, Dan, Naphtali, Gad, and Asher. In all, Jacob had 70 descendants in Egypt, including Joseph, who was already there. In time, Joseph and all his brothers had died, ending the entire generation. But their descendants, the Israelites, had many children and grandchildren. In fact, they multiplied so greatly that they became extremely powerful and filled the land. Eventually, a new king came to power in Egypt who knew nothing about Joseph or what he had done. He said to his people, "Look, the people of Israel now outnumber us and are stronger than we are. We must make a plan to keep them from growing even more. If we don't, and if war breaks out, they will join our enemies and fight against us. Then they will escape from the country." So the Egyptians made the Israelites their slaves. They appointed brutal slave drivers over them, hoping to wear them down and with crushing labor. They forced them to build cities of Pithom and Ramses as supply centers for the king. But the more the Egyptians oppressed them, the more the Israelites multiplied and spread. The more alarmed the Egyptians became. So the Egyptians worked the people of Israel without mercy. They made their lives bitter, forcing them to mix mortar and made bricks and do all the work in the fields. They were ruthless in all their demands. Then Pharaoh, the king of Egypt, gave his order to the Hebrew midwives and said, "When you help the Hebrew women as they give birth, watch as they deliver. If they deliver a boy, kill him. If it is a girl, let her live." But because the midwives feared God, they refused to obey the king's orders. They allowed the boys to live too. So the king of Egypt called for the midwives. Why have you done this? He demanded. Why have you allowed the boys to live? The Hebrew women are not like the Egyptian women, the midwives replied. They are more vigorous and they have their babies so quickly that we could not get there in time. So God was good to the midwives, and the Israelites continued to multiply, growing more and more powerful. And because the midwives feared God, he gave them families of their own. Then Pharaoh gave his order to all his people, throw every newborn Hebrew boy into the Nile River, but you may let the girls live. The birth of Moses. At about this time, a man and a woman from the tribe of Levi got married, a special baby, and kept him. She saw that he was a special baby and kept him hidden for 3 months. But when she could no longer hide him, she got a basket made of papyrus reeds and waterproofed it with tar and pitch. She put the baby in the basket and laid it among the reeds and along the bank of the Nile River. The baby's sister then stood at a distance, watching to see what would happen. Soon Pharaoh's daughter came down to bathe in the river, and her attendants walked along the riverbank. When the princess saw the basket among the reeds, she sent her maid to get it for her. When the princess opened it, she saw the baby. The little boy was crying, and she felt sorry for him. It must be one of the Hebrew children, she said. Then the baby's sister approached the princess. Should I go and find one of the Hebrew women to nurse the baby for you? She asked. Yes, do, the princess replied. So the girl went and called the baby's mother. Take this baby and nurse him for me, the princess told the baby's mother. I will pay you for your help. So the woman took her baby home and nursed him. Later, the boy was older. His mother brought him back to Pharaoh's daughter, who adopted him as her own son. The princess named him Moses, for she explained, I lifted him out of the water. It's a pretty interesting scenario going on for Moses' birth, right? Of what had been going on. It's you have all this craziness that's going on in Egypt, and the Israelites are just being broken down and broken down and broken down. And this woman was so scared. She was like, okay, well, I'm just going to send him off and, hope for the best. And funny enough how it turns around, but then the Pharaoh's daughter takes him in. And it's pretty interesting. There's not a lot of details. There's enough for us to kind of know, but so interesting. Moses escapes to Midian. Many years later, when Moses had grown up, he went out to visit his own people, the Hebrews, and he saw how hard they were forced to work. During his visit, he saw an Egyptian beating one of his fellow Hebrews. After looking in all directions to make sure no one was watching, Moses killed the Egyptian and hid the body in the sand. The next day, when Moses went out to visit his people again, he saw 2 Hebrew men fighting. Why are you beating up your friend? Moses said to one who started the fight. The man replied, who appointed you to be our prince and judge? Are you going to kill me as you killed that Egyptian yesterday? Then Moses was afraid, thinking, everyone knows what I did. And sure enough, Pharaoh had heard what had happened, and he tried to kill Moses. But Moses fled from Pharaoh and went to live in the land of Midian. When Moses arrived in Midian, he sat down beside a well. Now the priest of Midian had 7 daughters, who came as usual to draw water and fill the water troughs for their father's flocks. But some other shepherds came and chased them away. So Moses jumped up and rescued the girls from the shepherds. Then he drew water for their flocks. When the girls returned to Ruel, their father asked, why are you back so soon today? An Egyptian rescued us from the shepherds, they answered, and then he drew water for us and watered our flocks. Then where is he? Their father asked. Why did you leave him there? Invite him to come and eat with us. Moses accepted the invitation, and he settled there with them. In time, Ruel gave Moses his daughter Zipporah to be his wife. Later, she gave birth to a son, and Moses named him Gershom, for he explained, I have been a foreigner in a foreign land. Years passed, and the king of Egypt died, but the Israelites continued to groan under the burden of slavery. They cried out for help, and their cry rose up to God. God heard their groaning, and he remembered his covenant promise to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. He looked down on the people of Israel and knew it was time to act. Moses and the burning bush. One day Moses was tending to the flock of his father-in-law Jethro, the priest of Midian. He led the flock far into the wilderness and came to Sinai, the mountain of God. There the angel of the Lord appeared to him in a blazing fire from the middle of a bush. Moses stared in amazement. Though the bush was engulfed in flames, it didn't burn up. This is amazing, Moses said to himself. Why isn't that bush burning up? I must go see. When the Lord saw Moses coming to take a closer look, God called to him from the middle of the bush, Moses, Moses! Here I am, Moses replied. Do not come any closer, the Lord warned. Take off your sandals, for you are standing on holy ground. I am the God of your father, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. When Moses heard this, he covered his face because he was afraid to look at God. Then the Lord told him, I have certainly seen the oppression of my people in Egypt. I have heard their cries of distress because of the harsh slave drivers. Yes, I am aware of their suffering. So I have come down to rescue them. From the power of the Egyptians and lead them out of Egypt into their own fertile and spacious land. It is a land flowing with milk and honey, the land where the Canaanites, Hittites, Amorites, Pezerites, Hivites, and Jebusites now live. Look, the cry of the people of Israel has reached me, and I have seen how harshly the Egyptians abuse them. Now go, for I am sending you to Pharaoh. You must lead my people Israel out of Egypt. But Moses protested to God. Who am I to appear before Pharaoh? Who am I to lead the people of Israel out of Egypt? God answered, I will be with you, and this is your sign that I am the one who sent you. When you have brought the people out of Egypt, you will worship God at this very mountain. But Moses protested, If I go to the people of Israel and tell them, the God of your ancestors has sent me to you, they will ask me, what is his name? Then what should I tell them? God replied to Moses, I am who I am. Say this to the people of Israel, I am has sent me to you. God also said to Moses, say this to the people of Israel, Yahweh, the God of your ancestors, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob, has sent me to you. This is my eternal name, my name to remember for all generations. Now go and call all together the elders of Israel. Tell them, Yahweh, the God of your ancestors, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, has appeared to me. He told me, I have been watching closely, and I see how these Egyptians are treating you. I have promised to rescue you from your oppression in Egypt. I will lead you to the land flowing with milk and honey, and the land where the Canaanites, Hittites, Amorites, Pezerites, Hivites, and Jebusites now live. The elders of Israel will accept your message. Then you and the elders must go to the king of Egypt and tell him, the Lord, the God of the Hebrews, has met with us. So please let us take a 3-day journey into the wilderness to offer sacrifices to the Lord our God. But I know that the king of Egypt will not let you go unless a mighty hand forces him. So I will raise my hand and strike the Egyptians, performing all kinds of miracles among them. Then at last he will let you go, and I will cause the Egyptians to look favorably on you. They will give you gifts when you go, so you will not leave empty-handed. Every Israelite woman will ask for articles of silver and gold and fine clothing from her Egyptian neighbors and from the foreign women in their houses. You will dress your sons and daughters with these, stripping the Egyptians of their wealth. It's a really huge statement at the bush that was taking place, and God giving Moses this direction of like, listen, I'm going to be with you. I'm going to help you through this. I'm going to help you deliver my people and the slavery and the things that are going on. And God always has a purpose for the things that he tells us, right? And we're not just being delivered, to be free from something, right? We are delivered to step into something. And I think this is super, super important when it comes to leadership in our lives. And I know leadership, when people hear that, it can be a little daunting, right? It can be maybe a little scary because maybe you think you're leading. And usually there's a lot of people that want, they want to heal, but they don't also want the responsibility of it. They want breakthrough, but they don't have the obedience. And then the freedom I'm talking about, but they also don't want growth. But with God, God delivers that so that can be developed in you. And I think for me over the last 6 years, and it's really interesting. And I mean, there's never a coincidence, right? There's always a reason. I was having this conversation with my daughter yesterday, and I said, I really want you to step up and start leading one of her teams. There is a captain on the team, and the captain is not leading. And to say that I don't think that it's any fault of this other girl at all. I just don't think that she's had that foundation of leadership. And I explained to Kylie that I've been put through growth and leadership skills and how to really help people, and not everybody is a leader. And we know that in the Bible not everybody is selected, right? I mean, Moses, how you have to think how many people were in the world and Moses was selected, right? There's how many people it took for a Noah, right? How many generations? So it's this leadership that it can be scary because you're unsure. And Moses, obviously, he kind of pushed back, like, well, why are people going to listen to me? Number one, why, they're going to believe that you sent me? Like, let's be real here, right? And I'm sure that's what he's thinking. He's like, yeah, okay, like, yeah, I see you and I believe this, but like, I don't know if these people are going to believe me or not. And I just love the power and the conviction, and that God was like, listen, like, just tell them this. Trust that I'm going to be with you in the process, and you're going to make it through. And very similar to what's going on in my life. And explaining to Kylie, listen, you're not stepping on anybody's toes. You're not, trying to become better than. It's just there's a lot of people on your team that look up to you, and they need you. And they need the encouragement. They need the extra push. They need that from somebody because they're not getting that from someone who was appointed by people. So, signs of the Lord's power. This is chapter 4. But Moses protested again. What if they don't believe me or listen to me? What if they say the Lord never appeared to you? Then the Lord asked him, what is that in your hand? A shepherd's staff, Moses replied. Throw it down on the ground, the Lord told him. So Moses threw down the staff, and it turned into a snake. Moses jumped back. Then the Lord told him, reach out and grab its tail. So Moses reached out and grabbed it, and it turned back into a shepherd's staff in his hand. Perform this sign, the Lord told him. Then they will believe that the Lord God of your ancestors, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob, really has appeared to you. When the Lord said to Moses, now put your hand inside your cloak. So Moses put his hand inside his cloak, and when he took it out again, his hand was white as snow with a severe skin disease. Now put your hand back in your cloak, and the Lord said. Moses put his hand back in, and when he took it out again, it was healthy as the rest of his body. The Lord said to Moses, if they do not believe you, and you are not convinced by the first miraculous sign, they will be convinced by the second sign. And if they don't believe you or listen to you even after those signs, then take some water from the Nile River and pour it out on the dry ground. When you do, the water from the Nile will turn to blood on the ground. But Moses pleaded with the Lord, oh God, I'm not very good with words. I have never been, and I'm not now. Even though you have spoken to me, I get tongue-tied and my words get tangled. Then the Lord asked Moses, who makes a person's mouth? Who decides whether people speak or do not speak, hear or do not hear, see or do not see? Is it not I, the Lord? Now go. I will be with you as you speak, and I will instruct you in what you say. But Moses again pleaded, Lord, please send anyone else. Then the Lord became angry with Moses. All right, he said, what about your brother Aaron, the Levite? I know he speaks well, and look, he is on his way to meet you now. He will be delighted to see you. Talk to him and put the words in his mouth. I will be with both of you as you speak and will instruct you both in what to do. Aaron will be your spokesman to the people. He will be your mouthpiece, and you will stand in the place of God for him, telling him what to say. And take your shepherd's staff with you and use it to perform the miraculous signs I have shown you. Moses returns to Egypt. So Moses went back from Jethro to his father-in-law. Please let me return to my relatives in Egypt, Moses said. I don't even know if they are still alive. Go in peace, Jethro replied. Before Moses left Midian, the Lord said to him, Return to Egypt, for all those who wanted to kill you have died. So Moses took his wife and sons and put them on a donkey and headed back to the land of Egypt. In his hand he carried the staff of God. And the Lord told Moses, When you arrive back in Egypt, go to Pharaoh and perform all the miracles I have empowered you to do. But I will harden his heart so he will refuse to let the people go. Then you will tell him, This is what the Lord says. Israel is my firstborn son. I commanded you, let my son go so he can worship me. But since you have refused, I will now kill your firstborn son. On the way to Egypt, at a place where Moses and his family had stopped for the night, the Lord confronted him and was about to kill him. But Moses' wife Zipporah took a flint knife and circumcised her son. She touched his feet with the foreskin and said, Now you are a bridegroom of blood to me. When she said bridegroom of blood, she was referring to the circumcision. After that, the Lord left him alone. Now the Lord had said to Aaron, Go to the wilderness and to meet Moses. So Aaron went and met Moses at the mountain of God and embraced him. Moses then told Aaron everything the Lord had commanded him to say, and he told him about the miraculous signs the Lord had commanded him to perform. Then Moses and Aaron returned to Egypt and called all the elders of Israel together. Aaron told them everything the Lord had told Moses, and Moses performed the miraculous signs they had watched. Then the people of Israel were convinced that the Lord had sent Moses and Aaron. When they heard the Lord was concerned about them and had seen their misery, they bowed down and worshipped. Moses and Aaron speak to Pharaoh. After this presentation to Israel's leaders, Moses and Aaron went and spoke to Pharaoh. They told him, This is what the Lord, the God of Israel, says. Let my people go, so they may hold a festival in my honor in the wilderness. Is that so? Retorted Pharaoh. And who is this Lord? Why should I listen to him and let Israel go? I don't know the Lord, and I will not let Israel go. But Aaron and Moses persisted. The God of the Hebrews has met with us, they declared. So let us take a 3-day journey into the wilderness so we can offer sacrifices to our Lord God. If we don't, he will kill us with a plague or with the sword. Pharaoh replied, Moses and Aaron, why are you distracting the people from their task? Get back to work. Look, there are many of your people in the land, and you are stopping them from their work. Making bricks without straw. That same day, Pharaoh sent this order to the Egyptian slave drivers and the Israelite foremen. Do not supply any more straw for making bricks. Make the people get it themselves, but still require them to make the same number of bricks as before. Don't reduce the quota. They are lazy. That's why they are crying out. Let us go and offer sacrifices to our God. Load them down with more work. Make them sweat. This will teach them not to listen to lies. So the slave drivers and foremen went out and told the people, This is what Pharaoh says. I will not provide any more straw for you. Go and get it yourselves. Find it wherever you can, but you must produce just as many bricks as before. So the people scattered throughout the land of Egypt in search of stubble to use as straw. Meanwhile, the Egyptian slave drivers continued to push hard. Meet your daily quota of bricks, just as you did when you were provided with the straw, they demanded. Then they whipped the Israelite foremen they had put in charge of the work crews. Why haven't you met your quotas either yesterday or today? They demanded. So the Israelite foreman went to Pharaoh and pleaded with him. Please don't treat your servants like this, they begged. We were given no straw, but the slave drivers still demand. Make bricks. We are being beaten, but it isn't our fault. Your own people are to blame. But Pharaoh shouted, You're just lazy. Lazy. That's what you're saying. Let us go and offer sacrifices to the Lord. Now back to work. No straw will be given to you, but you still must produce the full quota of bricks. The Israelite foremen could see that they were in serious trouble when they were told, You must not reduce the number of bricks you make each day. And they left Pharaoh's court. They confronted Moses and Aaron, who were waiting outside for them. The foreman said, May the Lord judge and punish you for making us stink before Pharaoh and his officials. You have put a sword into their hands, an excuse to kill us. Then Moses went back to the Lord and protested, Why have you brought all this trouble on your own people, Lord? Why did you send me? Ever since I came to Pharaoh as your spokesman, he has been even more brutal to your people, and you have done nothing to rescue them. The promise of deliverance. The Lord told Moses, "Now you will see what I will do with Pharaoh. When he feels the force of my strong hand, he will let the people go. In fact, he will force them to leave this land." And God said to Moses, "I am Yahweh, the Lord. I appeared to Abraham, to Isaac, to Jacob as El Shaddai, God Almighty, but I did not reveal my name, Yahweh, to them. I am reaffirming my covenant with them. Under its terms, I promise to give them the land of Canaan, where they will live as foreigners. You can be sure that I have heard the groans of my people of Israel, who are now slaves to the Egyptians. I am well aware of my covenant with them. Therefore, say to the people of Israel, I am the Lord. I will free you from your oppression and will rescue you from your slavery in Egypt. I will redeem you with the powerful arm and great acts of judgment. I will claim you as my own people. I will be your God. Then you will know that I am the Lord your God, who was freed from your oppression in Egypt. I will bring you into this land I swore to give to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. I will give it to you as your very own possession. I am the Lord. So Moses told the people of Israel that the Lord had said, and they refused to listen anymore. They had become too discouraged by the brutality of the slavery. Then the Lord said to Moses, "Go back to Pharaoh, the king of Egypt, and tell him to let the people of Israel leave his country." "But Lord," Moses objected, "my own people won't even listen to me anymore. How can I expect Pharaoh to listen? I'm such a clumsy speaker." But the Lord spoke to Moses and Aaron and gave them orders from the Israelites and Pharaoh, the king of Egypt. The Lord commanded Moses and Aaron to lead the people of Israel out of Egypt. There's a lot that's happening here. And it's this back and forth of this is what's going on. It's getting even worse. And I don't necessarily want to make of what's going on in our world right now, but it is similar, right? There's this back and forth with people. There's this, you have God telling you to do this, and they're like, God, they're not listening to me. I really don't know, what to do. And I feel that this is that, right? This is truly this back and forth of, God saying like, can you just do what I'm asking you to do? And I know as we get further into this, into the Bible, we understand what free will is. But God's like, listen, just do what I'm telling you to do. And you keep asking all these questions. You keep thinking that it's not going to work. You keep just trust that I have it and what is going on. Just keep going. It's almost like he's just beating the same words into people, just keep doing it, keep doing it, keep doing it, keep doing it. The ancestors of Moses and Aaron. These are the ancestors of some of the clans of Israel. The sons of Reuben, Isaac, Israel's oldest son. Now, I'm probably not going to do all the names, I'll be honest with you, but it is important. So sons of Reuben, Israel's oldest son, Hanok, Palu, Herzon, and Carmi, their descendants became the clans of Reuben. So then we have sons of Simon. So these were all the brothers. These were Canaanites. So their descendants became clans of Simon. And then Levi, listed as their family records, were Gershon, Kathoth, and Merari. And Levi lived to 137. Then the descendants of Gershon, and then the descendants of Kohath. Kohath lived to 133. And then Merari, I'm probably saying it wrong, had 2. And then there's the clans of the Levites. So Amram's married his father's sister and gave birth to his son. That's crazy. The sons, so then you have Izhar had 3 sons. Uzziel had 3. Aaron married a Sheba, so there's Aaron. And then his daughter then had birth to sons, which were 4 of them. And then even more descendants after that. And then Eleazar, son of Aaron, married one of the daughters. And it says, Aaron and Moses named in this list are some that whom the Lord said, lead the people of Israel out of Egypt like an army. It was Moses and Aaron who spoke to Pharaoh, the king of Egypt, about leading the people of Israel out of Egypt. When the Lord spoke to Moses in the land, he said to him, I am the Lord. Tell Pharaoh, the king of Egypt, everything I'm telling you. But Moses argued with the Lord, saying, I can't do it. I'm such a clumsy speaker. Why should Pharaoh listen to me? So it's giving the history line again, which there's a whole reason I believe that there's a history line when it comes to the Bible. I mean, even from Genesis, because you need to know how many people there were, and you need to know who came from where and what line. And it may not be a perfect line. I mean, let's just be honest. It may not be a perfect line in your ancestry, right? I mean, how many of us are like, oh, that's a bad seed? And obviously that's judging. We don't want to judge people, but you have to look at the generational line and the ancestral line and who came from where and why and how. So Aaron's staff becomes a serpent. When the Lord said to Moses, pay close attention to this. I will make you seem like God to Pharaoh, and your brother Aaron will be your prophet. Tell Aaron everything I commanded you, and Aaron must command Pharaoh to let the people of Israel leave his country. But I will make Pharaoh's heart stubborn, so I can multiply my miraculous signs and wonders in the land of Egypt. Even when Pharaoh will refuse to listen to you, so I will bring down my fist on Egypt. Then I will rescue my forces, my people, the Israelites, from the land of Egypt with great acts of judgment. When I raise my powerful hand and bring out the Israelites, the Egyptians will know that I am the Lord. So Moses and Aaron did just as the Lord commanded. Moses was 80 years old, and Aaron was 83 when they made their demands. Then the Lord said to Moses and Aaron, Pharaoh will demand, show me a miracle. When he does, say to Aaron, take your staff and throw it down in front of Pharaoh, and it will become a serpent. So Moses and Aaron went to Pharaoh and did what the Lord had commanded. Aaron threw down his staff before Pharaoh and his officials, and it became a serpent. Then Pharaoh called in his own wise men and sorcerers, and these Egyptian magicians did the same thing with their magic. They threw down their staffs, which is also then they also became serpents. But then Aaron's staff swallowed up their staffs. Pharaoh's heart, however, remained hard. He still refused to listen, just as the Lord had predicted. The plague of blood. Then the Lord said to Moses, Pharaoh's heart is stubborn, and he still refuses to let the people go. So go to Pharaoh in the morning as he goes down to the river, stand on the bank of the Nile, and meet him there. Be sure to take along the staff that turned into a snake. Then announce to him, the Lord, the God of Hebrews, has sent me to tell you, let my people go so you can worship me in the wilderness. Until now, you have refused to listen to him. So this is what the Lord says. I will show you that I am the Lord. Look, I will strike the water of the Nile with the staff in my hand, and the river will turn to blood. The fish in it will die, and the river will stink. The Egyptians will not be able to drink water from the Nile. Then the Lord said to Moses, tell Aaron, take your staff and raise your hand over the waters of Egypt, all its rivers, canals, ponds, and all the reservoirs. Turn all the water to blood. Everywhere in Egypt, the water will turn to blood, even the water stored in wooden bowls and stone pots. So Moses and Aaron did just as the Lord commanded. As Pharaoh and all his officials watched, Aaron raised his staff and struck the water of the Nile. Suddenly, the whole river turned into blood. The fish in the river died, and the water became so foul that the Egyptians could not drink it. There was blood everywhere throughout the land of Egypt. But again, the magicians of Egypt used their magic, and they too turned their water into blood. So Pharaoh's heart remained hard. He refused to listen to Moses and Aaron, just as the Lord had predicted. Pharaoh returned to his palace and put the whole thing out of his mind. Then the Egyptians dug along the riverbank to find drinking water, for they couldn't drink the water from the Nile. 7 days passed from the time the Lord struck the Nile. A plague of frogs. Then the Lord said to Moses, go back to Pharaoh and announce to him that this is what the Lord says. Let my people go so they can worship me. If they refuse to let them go, I will send a plague of frogs across your entire land. The Nile River will swarm with frogs. They will come up out of the river into your palace, into your bedroom, and even onto your bed. They will enter the house of your officials and your people. They will even jump into your ovens and your kneading bowls. Frogs will jump on you, your people, and all of your officials. Then the Lord said to Moses, "Tell Aaron, raise your staff in your hand over all the rivers, canals, and ponds of Egypt. Bring up frogs across the land." So Aaron raised his hand over the waters, and the frogs came up and covered the whole land. But the magicians were able to do the same thing with their magic. They too caused frogs to come up at the land of Egypt. When Pharaoh summoned Moses and Aaron and begged, "Plead with the Lord to take the frogs away from me and my people. I will let your people go, so they can offer sacrifices to the Lord." "You set the time," Moses replied. "Tell me when they want to tell me when you want me to pray for you, your officials and your people. Then you and your houses will be rid of the frogs. They will remain only in the Nile River." "Do it tomorrow," Pharaoh said. "All right," Moses replied. "It will be as you have said. Then you will know that there is no one like the Lord our God. The frogs will leave your houses and your officials and your people. They will remain only in the Nile River." So Moses and Aaron left Pharaoh's palace. Moses cried out to the Lord about the frogs he inflicted, and the Lord did just what Moses had predicted. The frogs in the houses, the courtyards, and the fields all died. The Egyptians piled them into great heaps and had a terrible stench that filled the land. But when Pharaoh saw that relief had come, he became stubborn. He refused to listen to Aaron and Moses and Aaron, just as the Lord had predicted. The plague of gnats. Ugh, I wouldn't want the gnats. Frogs, it's fine, but gnats, they're really tiny and get everywhere. So the Lord said to Moses, "Tell Aaron, raise your staff and strike the ground. The dust will turn into swarms of gnats throughout the land of Egypt." So Moses and Aaron did just as the Lord commanded. When Aaron raised his hand and struck the ground, gnats infested the entire land, covering the Egyptians and their animals. The dust in the land of Egypt turned into gnats. Pharaoh's magicians tried to do the same thing with their secret arts, but this time they failed. And the gnats covered everyone, people and animals alike. Ugh. Oh, not good. "This is the finger of God," the magicians exclaimed to Pharaoh. But the Pharaoh's heart remained hard. He wouldn't listen to them, just as the Lord had predicted. The plague of flies. Oh, now we go from gnats to flies. We went to blood, to frogs, to gnats, now flies. Then the Lord said to Moses, "Get up early in the morning and stand in Pharaoh's way as he goes to the river. Say to him, 'This is what the Lord says. Let my people go so they can worship me. If you refuse, then I will send swarms of flies on you, your officials, your people, and all the houses. The Egyptian homes will be filled with flies, and the ground will be covered with them. But this time I will spare the region of Goshen, where my people live. No flies will be found there. Then you will know I am the Lord, and I am present even in the heart of your land. I will make a clear distinction between my people and your people. The miraculous signs will happen tomorrow." And the Lord did just what he said. A thick swarm of flies filled Pharaoh's palace and the house of his officials. The whole land of Egypt was thrown into chaos by the flies. Pharaoh called for Moses and Aaron. "All right, go ahead and offer your sacrifices to God," he said, "but do it here in this land." Moses replied, "That wouldn't be right. The Egyptians detest the sacrifices that we offer to the Lord our God. Look, if we offer our sacrifices here where the Egyptians can see us, they will stone us. We must take a 3-day trip into the wilderness to offer sacrifices to the Lord our God, just as he commanded us." "All right, go ahead," Pharaoh replied. "I will let you go into the wilderness to offer sacrifices to the Lord your God, but don't go too far away. Now hurry and pray for me." Moses answered, "As soon as I leave you, I will pray to the Lord, and tomorrow the swarms of flies will disappear from you and your officials and all your people. But I am warning you, Pharaoh, don't lie to us again and refuse to let the people go to sacrifice to the Lord." So Moses left Pharaoh's palace and pleaded with the Lord to remove the flies. And the Lord did as Moses asked and caused the swarms of flies to disappear. Not a single fly remained. But Pharaoh again became stubborn and refused to let the people go. So as you can see, what's happening is there's this back and forth with Pharaoh. Pharaoh isn't truly, it's like you want something to go away and you're like, yeah, I'll do whatever. You can do whatever. And then when it's gone, you're like, just kidding. And this kind of reminds me of times in life where maybe you're told something and then it switches. And then you're told something and then it switches. you're said, okay, no, this is what's going to happen. And then it's like, just kidding. I feel that these are lessons in life. And though in the beginning, God did say, like, I'm going to harden his heart. I'm going to show you that this is not going to be easy. You're going to have to keep putting pressure. You're going to have to keep going, keep different things are going to continue to happen. And God is doing these things and assisting, Moses and Aaron in this, but it's just this continuous cycle. So there's the plague against the livestock. And for us to get through 18, I'm probably not going to read all of this in 9, but there's the livestock. So none of the Israelites' animals will die, but everything of the Egyptians will. And he still was stubborn. Then there's the festering boils. That's pretty gross. And the boils broke out people and animals. And his magicians are not being able to do these things now, finally. And there's hail. And then Pharaoh is saying that he summoned them. And it says, this time I have sinned, he confessed. The Lord is the righteous one, and my people and I are wrong. Please beg the Lord to end this terrifying thunder and hail. We've had enough. I will let you go, and you don't need to stay any longer. So Moses left Pharaoh's court and went out to the city. He lifted his hands up. The thunder and hail stopped the downpour, but Pharaoh saw the rain, hail, and thunder had stopped. He and his officials had sinned again, and Pharaoh again became stubborn. So it's like he's pleading, and then he's like, okay, cool. And then the plague of locusts. The plague of locusts, I know, there is a very distinctive meaning when it comes to the locusts. And I know that we've seen locusts over the years kind of take over, especially here in the desert. And again, devouring food and land. And his heart just isn't in it. And then the plague of darkness. So things were just completely dark. And here, this is at the end of 10, so 10:25. Says, no, Moses said, you must provide us with the animals for sacrifice and burnt offerings to the Lord our God. All our livestock must go with us too. Not a hoof can be left behind. We must choose our sacrifices for the Lord our God from among these animals. We don't know how we are to worship the Lord till we get there. But the Lord hardened Pharaoh's heart once more. And you see how it's not so much that Pharaoh was stubborn. There's a difference between stubborn and hardened. Okay. And the Lord is still doing that because he wants it to get to a certain point to where they truly believe, like, okay, this guy, he's not messing around. So 11, death for Egypt's firstborn. The Lord said to Moses, I will strike Pharaoh in the land of Egypt with one more blow. After that, Pharaoh will let you leave this country. In fact, he will be so eager to get rid of you that he will force you all to leave. Tell the Israelite men and women and to ask their Egyptian neighbors for articles of silver and gold. Now the Lord had caused the Egyptians to look favorably on the people of Israel, and Moses was considered a very great man in the land of Egypt, respected by Pharaoh's officials and the Egyptian people alike. Moses had announced to Pharaoh, this is what the Lord says. At midnight tonight, I will pass through the heart of Egypt. All the firstborn sons will die in every family in Egypt, from the oldest son of Pharaoh, who sits on his throne, to the oldest son of his lowest servant girl, who grinds the flour. Even the firstborn of all the livestock will die. Then the loud wail will rise throughout the land of Egypt, a wail like no one has ever heard before or ever hear again. But among the Israelites, it will be so peaceful that not even a dog will bark. Then you will know that the Lord makes a distinction between the Egyptians and the Israelites. All the officials of Egypt will run to me and fall to the ground before me. Please leave. They will beg, hurry, and they will take all your followers with you. Only then will I go. Then, burning with anger, Moses left Pharaoh. Now the Lord had told Moses earlier, Pharaoh will not listen to you, but then I will do even more mighty miracles in the land of Egypt. Moses and Aaron performed these miracles in Pharaoh's presence, but the Lord hardened Pharaoh's heart, and he wouldn't let the Israelites leave the country. The first Passover. While the Israelites were still in the land of Egypt, the Lord gave the following instructions to Moses and Aaron. From now on, this month will be the first month of the year for you. Announce to the whole community of Israel that on the 10th day of this month, each family must choose a lamb or a young goat for a sacrifice, one animal for each household. If a family is too small to eat a whole animal, let them share with another family in the neighborhood. Divide the animal according to the size of each family and how much they can eat. The animal you select must be a 1-year-old male, either a sheep or a goat, with no defects. Take special care of this chosen animal until the evening of the 14th day of the first month. Then the whole assembly of the community of Israel must slaughter their lamb or young goat at twilight. They are to take some of the blood and smear it on the sides and tops of the door frames of the houses where they eat the animal. That same night, they must roast the meat over a fire and eat along with bitter green salad greens and bread made without yeast. Do not eat any of the meat raw or boiled in the water. The whole animal, including head, legs, and internal organs, must be roasted over a fire. Do not leave any of it. Do not leave any of it until the next morning. Burn whatever is not eaten before morning. These are your instructions for eating this meal. Be fully dressed, wear your sandals, carry your walking stick in your hand. Eat the meal with urgency, for this is the Lord's Passover. On that night, I will pass through the land of Egypt and strike down every firstborn son and firstborn male animal in the land of Egypt. I will execute judgment against all the gods of Egypt, for I am the Lord. But the blood on your doorposts will serve as a sign, marking the houses where you are staying. When I see the blood, I will pass over you. The plague of death will not touch you when I strike the land of Egypt. This is a day to remember. Each year, from generation to generation, you must celebrate it as a special festival to the Lord. Sorry, I just had a crazy revelation on that. This is the law for all time. For 7 days, the bread you must eat must be made without yeast. On the first day of the festival, remove every trace of yeast from your homes. Anyone who eats bread made with yeast during the 7 days of the festival will be cut off from the community of Israel. On the first day of the festival, and again on the 7th day, and the people must observe on the official day for holy assembly. No work of any kind must be done on these 3 days except in the preparation of food. Celebrate this festival on unleavened bread, for it will remind you that I brought your forces out of the land of Egypt on this day. The festival will be a permanent law for you. Celebrate this day from generation to generation. The bread you must make without yeast from the evening on the 14th day of the first month until the evening of the 21st day of the month. During those 7 days, you must have no trace of yeast in your homes. Anyone who eats anything made from yeast during this week will be cut off from the community. These regulations apply both to the foreigners living among you and the native-born Israelites. During these days, you must not eat anything made with yeast. I think we get it. We're not supposed to eat yeast for the 7 days. When Moses called all the elders out of Israel together and said to them, Go pick out a lamb or a young goat for each of the families and slaughter the Passover animal. Drain the blood into the basin. Then take the bundle of hyssop branches and dip it into the blood. Brush the hyssop across the top of the sides of the doorframes of your house, and no one may go through that door until morning. For the Lord will pass through the land and strike down the Egyptians. But when he sees the blood on top of the sides of the doorframe, the Lord will pass over your home. He will not permit his death angel to enter your house and strike you down. Remember, these instructions are a permanent law that you and your descendants must observe forever. That's a big statement. Like, remember, this is forever. So, in reality, that applies to us too. So, forever, don't forget. And when I said that I had kind of like a revelation, like, people talk about the Passover. I mean, this is the true Passover. Like, this is the true, like, there is very strict instructions on what to do, what to wear, what to eat, how to eat it, how to make it, how to prepare it. Again, the instructions that are given to us from God are so important. So important. So when you enter the land of the Lord that the Lord has promised to give you, you will continue to observe this ceremony. Then the children will ask you, 'What does this ceremony mean?' And you will reply, 'It is the Passover sacrifice to the Lord, for he passed over the houses of the Israelites in Egypt, and though he struck the Egyptians, he spared our families.' When Moses had finished speaking, all the people bowed down to the ground and worshipped. So the people of Israel did just as the Lord had commanded through Moses and Aaron. And that night at midnight, the Lord struck down all the firstborn sons in the land of Egypt, from the firstborn son of Pharaoh, who sat on his throne, to the firstborn son of the prisoner in the dungeon. Even the firstborn of the livestock were killed. Pharaoh and all his officials and all the people of Egypt woke up during the night, and loud wailing was heard throughout the land of Egypt. There was not a single house where someone had not died. Israel's exodus from Egypt. Pharaoh sent for Moses and Aaron during the night. "Get out." Or he ordered, "Leave my people and take the rest of the Israelites with you. Go and worship the Lord as you've requested. Take your flocks, your herds, as you said, and be gone. Go, but bless me as you leave." All the Egyptians urged the people of Israel to get out of the land as quickly as possible, for they thought, "We will all die." The Israelites took their bread dough before yeast was added. They wrapped their kneading boards in their cloaks and carried them on their shoulders, and the people of Israel did as Moses had instructed. They asked the Egyptians for clothing and articles of silver and gold. The Lord caused the Egyptians to look favorably on the Israelites and gave the Israelites whatever they asked for. So they stripped the Egyptians of their wealth. That night the people of Israel left Ramses and started for Succoth. There were about 600,000 men, plus all the women and children. That's a lot of people. A rabble of non-Israelites went with them, along with great flocks and herds of livestock. For bread they baked flat cakes from the dough without yeast they had brought from Egypt. It was made without yeast because the people were driven out of Egypt in such a hurry that they had no time to prepare the bread or other food. The people of Israel had lived in Egypt for 430 years. In fact, on this day, last day of the 430th year, that all the Lord's forces left the land. On this night, the Lord kept his promise to bring his people out of the land of Egypt. So this night belongs to him, and it must be commemorated every year by all the Israelites from generation to generation. This is the instructions for the Passover. Then the Lord said to Moses and Aaron, "These are the instructions for the festival of Passover. No outsiders are allowed to eat the Passover meal. But any slave who has been purchased may eat it if he has been circumcised. Temporary residents and hired servants may not eat it. Each Passover lamb must be eaten in one house. Do not carry any of its meat outside, and do not break any of its bones. The whole community of Israel must celebrate this Passover festival. If there are foreigners living among you who want to celebrate the Lord's Passover, let all their males be circumcised. Only then may they celebrate the Passover with you like any native-born Israelite. But no uncircumcised male might ever eat the Passover meal. This instruction applies to everyone, whether a native-born Israelite or a foreigner living among you." So all the people of Israel followed the Lord's commands to Moses and Aaron. On that very day, the Lord brought the people of Israel out of the land of Egypt like an army. Dedication of the firstborn. This is chapter 13. When the Lord said to Moses, "Dedicate to me every firstborn among the Israelites, the first offspring to be born of both humans and animals belong to me." So Moses said to the people, "This is the day to remember forever, the day you left Egypt, the place of your slavery. Today the Lord has brought you out by the power of his mighty hand. Remember, eat no food containing yeast. On this day in early spring, in the month of Abib, you have been set free. You must celebrate this event in this month each year after the Lord brings you into the land of the Canaanites, Hittites, Amorites, Hivites, and Jebusites. He swore to your ancestors that he would give you this land, a land flowing with milk and honey. For 7 days the bread you must eat will be made without yeast. Then on the seventh day, celebrate a feast to the Lord. Eat bread without yeasting during those 7 days. In fact, there must be no yeast bread, or any yeast at all found within the borders of your land during this time. On the seventh day, you must explain to your children, I am celebrating what the Lord did for me when I left Egypt. This animal festival will be a visible sign to you, like a mark branded on your hand or your forehead. Let it remind you to always recite these teachings of the Lord. With a strong hand, the Lord rescued you from Egypt. So observe the decree of this festival at the appointed time each year. This is what you must do when the Lord fulfills a promise he swore to you and to your ancestors. When he gives you the land where the Canaanites now live, you must present all firstborn sons and firstborn male animals to the Lord, for they belong to him. A firstborn donkey may be brought back from the Lord by presenting a lamb or a young goat in its place. But if you do not buy it back, you must break its neck. However, you must buy back every firstborn son. And in the future, your children will ask you, what does all of this mean? And you'll tell them, with the power of his mighty hand, the Lord brought us out of Egypt, a place of slavery. Pharaoh stubbornly refused to let us go, so the Lord killed all the firstborn males throughout the land of Egypt, both people and animals. That is why I now sacrifice all the firstborn males to the Lord, except the firstborn sons are always brought back. This ceremony will be like a mark branded on your hand or your forehead. It is a reminder that the power of the Lord's mighty hand brought us out of Egypt. Israel Wilderness Detour. When Pharaoh finally let the people go, God did not lead them along the main road from the runs through the Philistine territory, even though that was the shortest route to the promised land. God said, if the people are faced with battle, they might change their minds and return to Egypt. So God led them in a roundabout way through the wilderness toward the Red Sea. Thus, the Israelites left Egypt like an army ready for battle. Moses took the bones of Joseph with him, for Joseph had made the sons of Israel swear to do this. He said, God will certainly come to you. When he does, you must take my bones with you from this place. The Israelites left Succoth and camped at Etham on the edge of the wilderness. The Lord went ahead of them. He guided them during the day with a pillar of cloud, and he provided the light at night with a pillar of fire. This allowed them to travel by day or night, and the Lord did not remove the pillar of cloud or pillar of fire from its place from the people. Then the Lord gave these instructions to Moses. Order the Israelites to turn back and camp by Fi-haroah between Migdol and the sea. Camp there along the shore across from the Bisephon, where Pharaoh will think the Israelites are confused. They are trapped in the wilderness. And once again, I will harden Pharaoh's heart, and he will chase after you. I have planned this in order to display my glory through Pharaoh and his whole army. Though after this, the Egyptians will know that I am the Lord. So the Israelites camped as they were told. The Egyptians pursue Israel. When the word reaches the king of Egypt that the Israelites had fled, Pharaoh and his officials changed their minds. What have we done, letting all those Israelite slaves get away? So Pharaoh harnessed his chariot and called on the troops. He took with him over 600 of Egypt's best chariots, along with the rest of the chariots of Egypt, each with its commander. The Lord hardened the heart of Pharaoh, the king of Egypt, so he chased after the people of Israel, who had left with his fists raised in defiance. The Egyptians chased after them with all their forces in Pharaoh's army, all the horses, the chariots, the charioteers, and his troops. The Egyptians caught up with the people of Israel as they were camped beside the shore near Fi-haroah. I'm saying that so wrong. Fi-haroth, across from Bel-Zephon. As Pharaoh approached, the people of Israel looked up and panicked, and when they saw the Egyptians overtaking them, they cried out to the Lord. And they asked Moses, why did you bring us here to die in the wilderness? Weren't there enough graves for us in Egypt? What have you done to us? Why did you make us leave Egypt? Didn't we tell you that this would happen while we're still in Egypt? We said, leave us alone. Let us be slaves to the Egyptians. It's better to be a slave than a corpse in the wilderness. But Moses told people, don't be afraid. Just stand still and watch the Lord rescue you today. The Egyptians you see today will never be seen again. The Lord himself will fight for you. Just stay calm. When the Lord said to Moses, why are you crying out to me? Tell the people to get moving. Pick up your staff, raise up your hand over the sea, and divide the water so the Israelites can walk through the middle of the sea on dry ground. And I will harden the hearts of all the Egyptians, and they will charge in after the Israelites. May great glory be displayed through Pharaoh and his troops, his chariots and his charioteers. When my glory is displayed through them, all Egypt will see my glory and know that I am the Lord. Then the angel of God, who had been leading the people of Israel, moved to the rear of the camp. The pillar of the cloud also moved from the front and stood behind them. The cloud settled between the Egyptians and the Israelite camps. As darkness fell, the cloud turned into fire, lighting up the night. But the Egyptians and Israelites did not approach each other at night. When Moses raised his hand over the sea, the Lord opened up a path through the water with a strong east wind. The wind blew that night, turning the sea bed into dry land. So the people of Israel walked through the middle of the sea on dry ground, with the walls of water on each side. Then the Egyptians, all of Pharaoh's horses, chariots, and charioteers, chased them into the middle of the sea. But just before dawn, the Lord looked onto the Egyptian army with the pillar of fire and cloud. He threw their forces into total confusion. He twisted their chariot wheels, making their chariots difficult to drive. Let's get out of here, away from these Israelites, the Egyptians shouted. The Lord is fighting for them against Egypt. When all the Israelites had reached the other side, the Lord said to Moses, raise your hand over the sea again. Then the waters will rush back and cover the Egyptians and their chariots and charioteers. So as the sun began to rise, Moses raised his hand over the sea, and the water rushed back into its usual place. The Egyptians tried to escape, but the Lord swept them into the sea. Then the waters returned and covered all the chariots and charioteers, the entire army of Pharaoh, all of the Egyptians who had chased the Israelites in the sea. Not a single one survived. But the people of Israel had walked through the middle of the sea on dry ground, as the water stood up like a wall on both sides. This is how the Lord rescued Israel from the hand of the Egyptians that day. And the Israelites saw the bodies of the Egyptians washed up on the seashore. When the people of Israel saw the mighty power of the Lord that he had unleashed against the Egyptians, they were filled with awe before him. They put their faith in the Lord and in his servant Moses. I know I'm a little bit over today, and I still have 3 chapters, but we will pick that up on Monday. There's so much goodness and teaching in this, right? And some of the most important parts is, again, people still asking the why question. And the thing is right here it says that the Lord will fight for you. You just need to be still. And I think this is that struggle that sometimes we deal with, right? Because we're all going through things, and we're leading in the way that God wants us to lead, and we're in obedience with him, and it just still feels like we're in this alone. And we have to remember that he is fighting for you, and it may not always look like what you think it's supposed to look like. Not always. And I think it's really important that we ask the questions, right? Like the question of this is, where has God delivered you from recently? Where has he delivered you from that you were going through, that you were struggling? Like, are you embracing this new formation that he's creating? I mean, we just went through all of it. We went through all of the plagues and the flies and the gnats and the blood and all the things and the slavery that was taking place. And then the instruction of Passover of like, okay, I'm leading you, like we're getting there. Like sometimes it feels like in life it's like we're almost there, right? We have this feeling of like, okay, it's like, I know what's going to happen right now. And it's that one last thing. And the thing is, like, what are you trying to carry, right? That God never asked you to carry. What are you trying to carry that he's like, listen, I have a plan. It's ready. Just trust that this is what's going to happen. You're going to have to go through some things at first. Like, I didn't ask you to carry all of this as well. I'm just asking you to do this. And where's some structure and support and maybe some delegation that you need in your life right now that God can give you? so that you can focus on these things, so you can focus on the task at hand, so you can focus on what is important and where God is leading you through all of the crazy and the wilderness and the plagues and the gnats and the blood. And yes, I know it's a crazy term to use because it's gnats and blood and all of that, but you can refer it to your daily life and the things that are going on in your life right now, right? And maybe the struggles. And the thing is, it is scary sometimes to lead. Sometimes it doesn't feel very good, but I promise you, like through all of this and through all of the tests and all of the learning and all of the growth, I truly believe that now Moses is like, yeah, like I got this. Like, I might have questioned it, I might have protested it a little bit, but God really had my back. He truly did. And he does to this day. He's sovereign. He's gracious. He's truthful. He's Yahweh. So I'm going to leave you with that today. Thank you for joining me today instead of on Monday, but I'm so glad that we were able to spend this time. If you're watching it back or you're here live, it's such an honor, again, to be able to read this with you and share this with you. What a good week. And one thing I will leave you with, and this could just be me, I never truly understood what the Exodus was, like the chapter Exodus, but it said it right there. Israel's Exodus from Egypt. It truly means exit, leave. I just thought it was a cool little piece, but have a great rest of your week. And don't forget, I believe this Friday, we have some calls with Michelle. I think it's free membership Friday, and then I will see you again on Monday. So, bye.